one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Welcome into Discover Crypto and discovering new lows on some altcoins. Today is a day to remember. Bitcoin has dipped down to $65,000, but a lot of these altcoins are looking like they are on life support, folks. The year is 2026. No one's been arrested for that island. Now the governor not going to prison in Minnesota, and our bags are bleeding in a way that we could have only have imagined a few short months ago. Today is absolutely wild. Smash the like, smash the subscribe button, and stay locked into this information, because actually today, I know we covered a lot of Bitcoin's price action this morning, but I feel like I didn't spend enough time really taking a close look at the altcoin sector. There are so many altcoins experiencing new lows today. A really crazy time in the markets. What am I smiling about? I took a bunch of profits. I told you guys I took a bunch of profits. Took a lot off the table a couple weeks ago. You know, I am happy because I protected myself. Use Tether that I'm printing in shorts out of our Discord, and I'm buying up cheap Bitcoin. That is why I'm smiling. It's all about a mindset, a perspective, right? You don't look crazy at all, Crank. You don't look crazy at all. I absolutely love having Crank on the show. Good to see you, brother. Now, I got another brother from another mother, Mr. Piano Matty B, up in Kanadistan, holding strong, you know, looking fresh. Matty B, how are you holding up in this crazy, crazy day on the markets, my good friend?
Well, it is a bloodbath of epic proportions, but, you know, I hate to say it, but I've been a bear for so long that this is just kind of like, well, what else is new?
I know you. I know. And when we were at like $100,000, I was all hopeful of the bounce at 100K. My heart wanted up, right? You, Crank, our Discord, Quant, all of you guys said, hold up, wait a minute. You poured a bucket of cold water over my head, and now we've pulled back by like, I don't know, like 60% or something like that, it feels like. But we got a lot of ground to cover, Piano Matty B. We have a lot of ground to cover. Make sure to follow Piano Matty B at Piano Matty on X. And also give me a follow here at Drew Weidert on X constantly. And the memes, you can't stop with the memes of the bear market are really what's up. You know what I mean? Like, these are top shelf memes. Jerome Powell dancing in the club after he's being pushed out. These are the top shelf memes that we come here for. But the market's looking pretty gruesome, particularly on altcoins right now. So let's just get some fresh data here. The only things that are up: Lighter, brand new project, MYX. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. AI NFT, no. Decred, like a bunch of random weird things are moving. And then stable coins. So you know that the problems are abound in the altcoin sector, if that's what you see pumping. Now, the biggest losers today, this Leo token down 22%. XRP is the second biggest loser of the day, down 18%. No longer is it a $140 billion market cap. Matty, this thing is at $76 billion in market cap. A quick haircut, cut in half. What are your thoughts on XRP? Right. I mean, I know that there's a lot of XRP holders that just want you to tell them that it's going up. How are you handling the XRP charts right now? Have you looked at or charted out XRP at all? I looked at it a little bit this morning. I have my own thoughts, but what are your thoughts on XRP and where it's sitting?
Well, you could check out, like, in order to check out the XRP chart, just check out Bitcoin, because it's just a function of Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin goes up, XRP will go up. But, you know, the longer we are in this environment, the more Bitcoin maxis are birthed, right? And so I think holding on to some of these passion plays from yesteryear, I think are going to get people more hurt because when you think about it, like what, just like so, Bitcoin included, we've all been holding for 5 years. It's the same price, if not lower, right?
Yeah.
Even XRP, like it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And, we have to keep in mind inflation ramps up year
True.
over year over year. So your buying power gets diminished. And you know what? We have, like, my goal here is to outpace inflation, right? So if I'm making 300% over a few months, it's only a 3x. That's 300%, right? That is one thing that drives me crazy, because altcoins pumped by 5, 10, 20x March 24. They pumped by 100x some of the AI agents in December 24, and everyone's sitting around saying we never had any good times. We did. They came too early, and no one was ready to take profits. I'm obsessive about Toyota. I did my thing. I'm doing well, and I'm buying up the dip right now. And I woke up my daughter this morning. I was like, daughter. I called her by her name, but I'm not gonna say it. Bitcoin's crashing aggressively. What do you do? Right? It was kind of like a drill. And she's like, oh God, can I buy some? I'm giving her $10 in Bitcoin for every 100% test score that she brings at school. Maddie, she is up to $600 worth of Bitcoin so far. And I've been doing this for like, I don't know, like maybe 6 months or something like that. And she's just
straight A student.
Yeah, I know. She's killing it, dude. She's absolutely killing it. She's excited about the dip. Really, I've had this, and this is kind of hillbilly TA. I'm going to completely admit it. I kind of want you to give me some confidence here, but Maddie, what I did and what I've done over the past few cycles is just basically draw a line at previous market highs. And then when I see the price cascade down to those levels, I buy. Now, the COVID buy, I just closed my eyes and put my life savings in because everyone said the world was ending anyways, and they were starting to take away coins out of circulation. I was like, whatever, I'll just throw everything into Bitcoin, see what happens, right? So I didn't necessarily use the same setup in the March of 2020 move, but I did use it in the 2022 November FTX final capitulation dip, and put another massive set of buys in, got my Bitcoin bags bolstered up, and Chainlink and a bunch of other random, things that I liked. And now I'm sitting here looking at this chart. We're now down to previous market highs. We are now, as of the time of the recording, we're at $66,000. We are smack dab at that previous high. The guts of a lot of these ETF holders sitting right here in the range from basically $60,000 to $70,000, and Standard Chartered with their planned washout, which did absolutely happen. I've left this mapped out for a few weeks just out of curiosity to see if this major bank was correct, and indeed this has been playing out as well. But something tells me, Maddie, that you've got something even scarier to show me on these charts. I mean, so this is my basic setup, and I am, a big buyer of Bitcoin right now. But what do you see in the potentialities for where Bitcoin could drop down to, bro?
So is this 69K-ish your bounce thesis? Like this is
the
bottom?
65 more so, the guts of this volume, the point of control of that range. I think ETFs and where those ETFs bought matters more than our 4-year cycle and all those other things. Like, I really feel that the middle point of that green box I've had drawn out for a long time is generally where I wanted to go. And also within that, we are now, the low end of price to produce has been estimated around 70K, high end at 86. I'm seeing this below that, even bottom end of the price to produce a Bitcoin. And this is the same thing that I did for when we were buying up this dip, the price to produce is like 19K. Price to produce is much higher now. So I have a couple of points of confluence going for me, but this is kind of awe-inspiring seeing on the daily the size of these red candles, right? I mean, it's just been, what has this been, like 2 weeks of just absolute brutality. We're down by 27% just over the course of like the last 2 weeks. So the velocity of the pullback is very vicious, and the money flow on the weekly, and now I'm kind of going into the scarier part of the charts. The money flow is just starting to move to the reds, right? Like we're not to this point where we're starting to make our way back up in money flow and getting ready for that bounce. Like we're essentially on money flow comparatively to where we were in April of 2022. And the price of Bitcoin was much higher. I mean, it was 38K before the major dip down into the 20K zone. So it's kind of a tale of two cities. You know, I really feel like for me, cheaper Bitcoin is like my max pain is up only. And now that's washed away. And so I like a $10,000 gets me more than, 10% of a Bitcoin. It was quite aggravating seeing 10K only get 10% of a Bitcoin. Now I'm at like, I'm getting like 1 point or 14% or 15%. But what do you see on the Bitcoin charts? Because I always love comparing what I see to what you're seeing on the charts, brother.
Well, listen, it's not the most sunshiny outlook, but I just want to go recap a couple things since the last time I was here. We had this, where these eyes are. This was the bull market rejection zone, which is a 38.2% fib pullback from 126. And so my thesis was we would try to test it, maybe break it, but ultimately get denied. And it was like to a goddamn T, we got denied. And to me, that was the bull market rejection zone. Even though I've been a bear since 106, this was my confirmation. Now, this type of strategy goes for all dips. So currently, we pull another fib down from here to our local bottom here. And so 77K-ish is like, if you want any type of relief, I think that we could see a relief rally up to 77K-ish. At this point, I would be looking for a rejection to ultimately bring on a lower low, right? That'll just be a lower macro high, right? It's no big deal.
So just to reiterate, you think a short-term bounce to 77 and then the wash down further, just to clarify?
Yeah, unless we see, so I have 64K-ish, which is the bottom of this channel of descension, right? And if you go back, way back here, the 60K-ish is from, this used to be the bear flag, this little part here, but then we just sat here in this thing. But this was the initial target, 60K-ish, and it kind of looks like we're going to hit that. But with this moving target, if someone were to play along at home, you would just pull the fib down from where is this? What is this top? 97 to wherever this goes. And I adjust it every day. If it goes lower, I adjust it, right? But I don't adjust it back up. So once the low is in, then so right now 77K-ish is my relief rally bounce that would give me the signal that we're going down again, right? Okay. Unless we start pulling back up, and then that, to me, we might be rounding a bottom. But this is my thesis. Now, this isn't my trading plan. This is just my bear market thesis, and it has to do with what you were talking about. Dude, this is very messy here. So it's like bringing a chick back to your apartment. It's like, oh my God, don't look at my room. It's so messy. This chart is messy. But listen. This is the important part. This here, like you said, that 69K, this is the Trump pump, but I'm calling it the Trump dupe now because Bitcoin is like a financial gumshoe, right? It's forward looking. It sniffs out bullshit faster than the people that are involved with it. So I think what Bitcoin has been telling us is that this is all frothy bullshit. It's the wrong people involved. It's, once you get, think about it. The government, did you ever imagine you'd want the government on your side for anything?
They're here to help.
Right.
They're here to help.
Let alone your financial future. But see, I think it gets worse than that because it's a thing called psychological consensus, right? So whenever certain majority of people are on one side of the boat, to me, that's a signal that it's wrong. So for instance, if we go back to Q4 2025, everyone was on the side of the boat where they would bet their entire life that we're going to have a parabolic blow off top in the next 2 months, right? And as soon as I saw that from every channel in the world, I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen, because it can happen. That's just not what the markets, how the markets work. So now that we're at this little support here, which is like, this is what you hear now. This level, let me impersonate every other YouTube creator here. This level has to hold, right? Who says? Who says this level has to hold? You know, it's the prior bull run's top. We've never broken it. Yeah, this whole cycle has been nothing but breaking things. So first off, if we go back to 2022, you know, we never go under the 200 moving average. Bullshit, here we go, right? We went under the 200 moving. So what that tells me now is that that's the norm until it isn't. So the new metric is we go under the 200 moving average like we did before. And
how low below the 200 WMA did we go in that FTX collapse?
Let's get a percentage here. Percentage.
Let's give it a quick
200.
Holy
37%.
Okay. That'd be all right. So let's look at our current situation. Let's call 56K-ish the 200 moving average, right? Just for shits and giggles. Like, it will maybe curl around down, so maybe it's 60, but let's go 60 just to exaggerate it. From 60K, a 30% drop from there would take us to 41,000. Oh my God. I've seen that number floated around a couple different places.
Yeah,
I've seen that
you've
around.
probably heard this a lot too, eh? I think it's called 58K gang. Listen,
yeah.
As soon as there's a gang, as soon as there's an army, you know, it's not going to happen. They're going to be wiped out. The market loves gangs and it loves armies for one reason, to wipe them out. So 58K gang, I think, is going to get wiped out because that's what the market does. That'll be the 200 moving average, and people will like, we're back. Let's buy. But it's my thesis that this is the ETF froth. So all this gain here was all ETF front running before the halving, if you remember that. Like,
right.
That was our second piece of broken information. That,
dude, and that got me too, because I was like, we're going all-time highs early. We're like, these altcoins are going to do well, and they did great. Like, the alts did great in March of 24 when we hit that local peak. They were way more expensive than they are today, and I actually hit some short-term financial goals ahead of time. So I got out, but it didn't mean that I didn't feel like I was an absolute idiot for selling, you know, because everything felt so frothy. It felt like we were having that super cycle for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to really feel the froth when you're in it, because everyone thinks that, like, so when your expectation is $1 million, it can get hella frothy at 100K, and people's like, this is nothing, right? But when you look back in hindsight and you take in the mother of all top signals, the Michael Saylor 100K party. I mean, it doesn't get a bigger top signal than that. Like, he's really testing fate at that point. And then there's stuff like remember the Haktua rugged and stuff?
Oh, that's great.
Something happens at top.
She spit on that thing good too. She absolutely did.
Well, when you see this ETF stuff, in order for Bitcoin and its ethos to fully heal, because to me, this whole pump here is like an unremarkable retard male dating a beautiful woman. They're going to get wrecked. And the woman's going to do all this crazy stuff. He's going to have the time of his life, but it's not real, because beautiful women don't like unremarkable retard men unless they have a bunch of money. And then they'll take the money, and guess what? They'll leave. So all this stuff is basically the froth of money that wasn't supposed to be here. So in order for Bitcoin to fully heal, we have to get rid of it all. And this is where it gets really bumpy, because we have to go down to 29K.
Oh God! No! Oh my God! So would you buy at 29K? I mean, I would be like taking.
Yeah, well,
I'm against taking loans out, but if we go to 29K, bro, I'm gonna be taking.
But you know why this heals? Because guess what? Normies, who are the backbone of the Bitcoin retail outside of whales, right? Normies. Someone can put 10% into a Bitcoin. They can get 10% of a Bitcoin. Listen, 4 months ago, getting 10% of a Bitcoin was out of the majority of the normies. There's
It was
no way
annoying. It was like,
yeah, they're not getting 10K together. That's not like people are sitting there with 10K in their bank account. But with 2K, you can get 10% of a Bitcoin, which is, a bigger allocation than most, right? But here's where it's asymmetrical. Let's say this thesis doesn't play out and you save, you got some dry powder, you're going to deploy at 29K and it gets to 41K and we see that bounce and it starts going up from there. Well, you also win.
yeah,
You've been stuck there since, I don't know, 126 to 41. Now you have a little, let's say you have X equals 1,000, X equals 10,000, X equals 2,000, X equals 50,000, whatever your allocation is for this 29K thesis. Well, now you have it to either do something nice for your family or put it into something else. But at least you put that package together rather than just, sitting here. It's time to think about the future. It's time to put your allocation to the next bull run together.
well, and like all the Bitcoin isn't even for me that I'm buying. It's all for my kids anyways. Like I fight on the front lines with altcoins for like my fund money or just whatever's going on. The Bitcoin's for the kids in the long term. You know what I mean? It's the long-term outlook of them being able to have, good chunks. And this is something that, it probably only applies to me or people with kids that do things this way. But, as in my opinion, 2025, it did have a bit of lacklusterness for Bitcoin, but not really. We still hit 129 or 126K. It was more horrible for altcoins because there was no massive altcoin run up. The VC fundraising interest has like evaporated, and all of these different layer twos are now being attacked by Vitalik Buterin. Their use case, and think about this, Piano. So I'm sending ETH transactions. The ETH transactions are quick and they cost like 5 cents to send. It's nothing like the last bull market where we were sending ETH transactions for like $2 or $3, sometimes $500 for a single transaction.
Yeah.
And so you see this massive expansion of Ethereum layer twos that came to fix the problem. Ethereum fixed the problem in and of itself. So the use case for a lot of these are being called into question. This is a very interesting time frame for me. Like I'm going to be cognizant of, a potential. And you know what, Panama B, something going on in the background actually might play into what you're talking about here. Before I get into all the altcoin charts in large, which I absolutely plan to do, we're seeing some not great signs. This is the first and foremost. Is the U.S. Treasury Secretary talking about Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy? What's going on is a degree of capital flight happening in Iran, the regime leadership engaging in massive leaves, describing it vividly as the rats leaving the ship or rats fleeing the ship amid signs of instability, protests, sanction pressures, and fears of a potential regime collapse, right? But this is not even including America's kind of taken the gloves off, right? We saw that with Venezuela, and now Iran is in question. And if we see something go on as far as an escalation, because there is a potential of a larger macro conflict going on in the background right now. I know it's not a comfortable thing to talk about, but there is. Like with the when I was taking profits, I got the TRD, but I also, I've been really focused on making sure that I have solar energy. So I already had gas generators, but solar generators and things of that nature, just to bolster up the family's background, because this is going on in the background, man. It's happening. It's not a comfortable thing to talk about. I actually got surprised before I get too into the charts. I got a fan art sent to me. Someone remembered my old band. This is from Flood of Souls. And they took this.
Flood of Souls.
Yeah. So this is the original picture. And they turned it into like, a Chat GPT picture. But now I'm starting to see fan art come in, which is kind of cool. I mean, I know you're a musician too. It makes me feel good. But I do want to dig into a lot of different altcoins. And really liquidity levels are looking insane right now. The liquidation map This from Marty Party. Has never seen it skewed so short before. Literally, I mean, almost no longs remain. Not exactly no longs remain. 83 million to $65,000 and $28 billion in shorts would be liquidated if we run up to 109K. Looking at the data right now, it's looking frisky. The bettors haven't left the table, though. It's insane, but they have not left the table. Look at this. Fresh
What does
longs.
the map say at 77? Does that have any correlation
let's
to
put
my,
the larger time frames to check out 77. But you see, like, even in this cascade, there's longs that are popping their little gopher heads up and just getting whacked all the way down. They're not leaving the table. It's pretty crazy to see. Let's go to the weekly. So 85 is attractive. 84.8 is attractive in the very just terms of exchanges wanting more money and to liquidate people. Binance. This is $85,000. So now let's look at the larger time frames here and check out where, it's still sitting right there at 85K. 77 really doesn't show much in terms of liquidation target. I don't see much of a target there. And this is Binance. I pretty much stick to Binance liquidation maps because they tend to play out the most. But I will say this, Maddie, the 77 fake out moment would wipe out quite a bit. I mean, these are chunks of $70 million on each one of these different levels, 80 million there. So there's a lot of money to be made with even just a fake out up to 70K, 77K right there. Something to be cognizant of. You know?
Yeah, you would see the perma bulls start frothing at the mouth at 77, and I think that's where the great dupe comes in. I've been seeing some comments here, people have to get their head around the fact that it may not be going up, as painful as that sounds. Because what's better, to hope it goes up and it never does, or to plan for it going lower?
I mean, my perspective is that I was aggravated when the price was too damn high. When it was at 126, I was aggravated for myself. Like, I was happy for holders and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, but my goal is to get more and more Bitcoin. And the longer that we can stay at low levels, the more Bitcoin I get. And the happier I am. So I do, like, it's weird backwards mentality. Right. But you know what? With all this uncertainty, I have a great clip that I think we need to listen to. I think a lot of people need to hear this clip from one of the greatest investors out there. This is Charlie Munger. Okay. So let's watch this. Charlie Munger, this is posted by Milk Road Macro. And he has a really, really good piece of advice for really, this applies to any market, Wall Street, crypto, Bitcoin, any of it. Let's have a listen.
This is the third time that Warren and I have seen our holdings in Berkshire go down top tick to bottom tick by 50%. I think it's in the nature of long-term shareholding with the normal vicissitudes in worldly outcomes and in markets that the long-term holder has his quoted value of his stock go down and then by, say, 50%. In fact, you can argue that if you're not willing to react with equanimity to a market price decline of 50% 2 or 3 times a century, you're not fit to be a common shareholder, and you deserve the mediocre result you're going to get.
Ooh, man, that's
ouch.
I mean, that's the truth, man. That's the reality. It's the reality. And it's almost, you sound like the Joker when you're saying it, but you get crypto at the price you deserve, right? It's, you pull the trigger, you move in on whatever asset, you get whatever stock it is at the price you deserve when you're willing to move on it. There's been a lot of people that had the foresight about AI that are killing it. There's a lot of people that had the foresight about gold and silver that are absolutely killing it. Even with this volatility. So having foresight and being able to weather the storm, I think matters a lot. But I'm not in the mood to go speculating on a bunch of altcoins right now. It's Bitcoin that I'm excited to buy.
Yeah, some of this sentiment too, the negative sentiment, I would say maybe about 35% of it is bearish Schadenfreude. So it's people that have no allocation to Bitcoin and is just glad it didn't take off, right? Because there's nothing more satisfying than seeing something that you're not in tank. And you can go on Twitter and say, hey, I told you, dummies, right?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the just it's going to zero comments are people that just don't have any and no plan to buy it anyways. And, there's a lot of negativity that's been stirred up over the past few years. And, in this environment, like even if right now where I'm feeling good about finally getting into the guts of the ETF action and where I'm buying, and you're darn right. If we go down to your crazy low levels, Piano, I'm going to be buying there as well. But
is it a crazy low level though?
I feel like it is a little bit crazy low level. I do feel like it is a crazy low level, but crazy in a good way for me in terms of I could go get, a Bitcoin for $20,000. That's absolutely insane. Like that gets me excited. Let me show you one
thing here.
Yeah.
Let me show you one thing. We went down 77% in 2021, right? So let's see where 77% is in this market. Not that it means anything. Just we're going off kind of historical echoes. 77% would take us to 29K.
Son of a gun. God. 29K. Okay.
If we just follow what's happened, not that we're owed it or we're guaranteed any type of historical echo or pattern. But if you want to hook your hat on certain things that have happened, well, this is where max pain comes in. And no one wants to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Max pain is no parabolic upside, but worse crypto winter. That's max pain, because right now there's this narrative. Well, we didn't really go up that high, so we're not really going to go down that low. Like the market owes anybody anything. It's like, oh, sorry guys, we only went to 126, but hey, I'll cut you guys a deal. We won't go that low in the crypto winter. No, these rules don't exist. These correlations don't exist. They are till they aren't.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're seeing some wobbly stuff on Wall Street, man. Like, I mean, obviously strategy is down because it's heavily involved with Bitcoin, and it's almost like leveraged Bitcoin. Coin itself is down 66%, Netflix down 40%, Palantir down 36%, AMD 27%. Microsoft's even down 27%, Broadcom, Tesla. I mean, lots of.
Isn't Google killing it right now?
Let's actually go look at Google. Let's look at this. Because I'm really, the sketchy part for me as well is that the stock market is so reliant mostly on NVIDIA. But I mean, it's been going up and up and up. I wonder what I haven't looked at Google in a while. What's the ticker for Google on TradingView? Do you remember? Oh, it's Alpha. Here it is. Goog. Let's pull this up. So, oh my gosh. So it's pretty much at all-time highs still. It's had a lot of volatility over the past week for sure. So it peaked out at 349 and it dropped down by 11.7% to 308. That's some pretty serious volatility for a stock, especially one like Google, right? So, this is like, okay, we're running into turbulence. Can we keep running this up? But there's signs of sickness within the smaller like software companies and tech stocks, especially AMD, like AMD and Palantir, even with a government contract and this massive expansion of all of this, AI infrastructure, still down by 36%. So, we're seeing some rumblings for sure in the traditional stock market, which PLNT, what is the ticker again? Is it PLNTR? What is that ticker? PLTR? Yeah, I want to look at Planetar. PLTR. There it is. Palantir. All right. Oh, gosh. I had this level marked out from a while ago, actually. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah, that's a big pullback, right? That's a big pullback. And this is happening kind of like right as the AI speculation happened to the extreme. And there's a reason why. I think it's worth addressing, especially while we're on this subject matter. This is a post from No Limit Gains that I found pretty insightful. So I left a private meeting with 3 UHNW individuals, a situation significantly worse than he thought. They aggressively are liquidating public equity positions to cover margin calls and holes in their private portfolios. They believe the cycle is officially over. And this is traditional stock AI bubble cycle he's talking about. We discussed the current state of evaluations. It's all fake wealth, pure paper gains. These valuations only exist to provide exit liquidity for the top 1%. And here's how he explains it works. So you start a company, you issue a billion shares, and then raise a seed round of $10 million at $1 per share. You just created $1 billion of implied market cap out of thin air. Then you use the inflated valuation as collateral to leverage up even further. And just like that, monopoly money becomes spendable liquidity. Now, the gravity of this is what he's trying to explain. Most people think that the Fed is the only source of inflation. He's saying this is wrong. Private markets are printing phantom collateral, and the bill is coming due. Trillions in corporate debt being refinanced in 12 to 24 months from now. This debt was issued at near 0% interest. Its refinancing rate is going to be 5 to 8%, saying that this is extremely bad and things can get much worse. Take a look at the Buffett indicator, the ultimate measure of valuation versus the real economy. You had the dot-com bubble peak in 2000, 159%. Global financial crisis, 110%. And today, we're close to 200% on the Buffett indicator. So
Wow.
the stock market is currently the most overvalued level in history. We're pricing in stocks at double their value, mathematically unsustainable, and it gets worse. Again, household equity allocation is also at all-time highs, meaning that retail is hammering in to basically top blast the AI bubble, right? So it's going on right now. This is intense to read through. The metric tracks how all in average investors are right now. We're sitting at 48%. Think about what this means. If everyone is already fully invested, who is left to buy these stocks? I know this sounds scary because it is, but don't worry. Always going to be here to help us out. I appreciate this post. This is a great insight. I've been in this game for more than 20 years, publicly called the last 3 market tops and bottoms. And this guy has been very, very effective, especially with the regular stock market plays and the ups and downs of it. When he makes a new move in the market, I'll share it like here as always. And so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm following this guy if I'm not already. Yeah. This is intense. This is the financial centipede of the AI super bubble needing to be refinanced in the next 1 to 2 years. And unfortunately, Bitcoin seems very, very, very correlated with Wall Street until lately, right? So in what you just said, where we get a little bit of upside, not much, but then we experience all the downside, that's been happening. Guess what? Like all these ETF buys, they do them OTC. They do the buys OTC.
Right.
They don't help the price go up on Bitcoin, but then when it's time to sell in huge bags, they move that right onto the open market and let the giant red candle smash everything back down. And that's been one of the more aggravating things to realize what it really meant to have Wall Street now in bed with crypto. That is the situation at hand. So this is very, very interesting to think about. Now, with all that being said,
if you think about it, like the thesis of Bitcoin being a financial gumshoe, you know, it can be sidelining. Like if we want to get kind of bullishly delusional with some hopium and copium, it could be sidelining itself and waiting for these bubbles to burst.
Potentially.
You know, it's like it can see it happening. Like not that it's this sentient being, but the general consensus and ethos of the Bitcoin community is maybe the larger, smarter minds are prevailing and saying, let's just sit this one out, let these people battle it out, and then once the battlefield's filled with zombies and dead bodies, we'll run.
Yeah, and it's able to move much quicker in and out than, you know, people move out of their 401k or they move around major stock holdings like that. So something about the pullback on Bitcoin and then stocks generally staying high, but a lot of them showing a death wobble. It's maybe Bitcoin is front running and has already kind of front ran the Wall Street pullback. And now we're there. And something about your 77% pullback, I will say, is like we pulled back by 85%, and then we pulled back by 70 some odd percent. So I feel like as the market cap has gone up, the diminishment of returns and diminishment of downside just basically comes from the size of the market cap getting into the trillions, not billions like we were in past cycles. But this is a very interesting concept to think about. And maybe it's just a simple rotation from software stocks and AI bubbles to poverty, right? I mean, maybe it is.
Exactly.
But
That's a big thing too, because the people, the retail that we kind of expected to come in the end, you know, they really don't have any money.
yeah,
And so there's also some compounding effects that happen in a bear market that you got to keep your peepers on. And the fact that a lot of defunct, borderline bankrupt companies became Bitcoin treasuries. Now those have to collapse too, right?
yeah. Well,
And
there's
so,
Solana treasuries. There's
right.
Ethereum
But you know what the thing about
treasuries.
Solana? It's
What's
like
that?
if you go and take a look at the Solana inflows, it's been green since it started. Price goes down. You know,
Right.
so there's a lot of things that just aren't making sense. And I think it goes back to this presidential froth, this Trump dupe. You know, and to what you were saying about the 48%, where's the money? Like, so are you trying to tell me that $15 trillion worth of gold was sold off last week?
And where's the gold audit? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we
Where did it
bragging
go?
about how much money we have?
Are people sitting in $15 trillion worth of cash right now?
It doesn't feel like
Seems
it.
crazy. Like,
really doesn't.
But the most far-fetched, unbelievable sci-fi answer can happen. You know, in the end, everyone goes to fiat. Like, come on.
God, oh my God. Don't say. I mean, last time gold had a blow off top like we just saw, it spent 20 years in a bear market. You saw the government push people back into treasuries, back into fiat currency. And there's a lot of stuff happening in America about this regulation side. I wanted to chop it up with Jan. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is calling for Congress to pass a crypto market structure legislation, talking about we have to get this Clarity Act across the finish line. Let's watch this, and then me and you can react to this, but let's have a listen to what they're talking about on the Hill.
What is your opinion about the importance of having clear rules of the road, market structure legislation in the United States?
Look, I think that it's impossible to proceed without it. We have to get this Clarity Act across the finish line. And
What is your opinion?
So the first thing I want to ask chat, do you think, and I want to be very pointed, do you think that the Clarity Act and the government regulation on crypto is going to come save the prices? Right? Like, we need to ask ourselves that. Is the government coming to protect us? Matty B, you're up in Kanadistan. Things have gone great as far as government perspective for you. I'm sure that you're a huge fan of governments. But what are your reactions? Like, obviously, we have delays to the Clarity Act. We have this tug of war, and they're calling each other names like children in Congress. What are your reaction to this whole Clarity Act coming to save crypto narrative that's taking hold of crypto Twitter right now?
That's part of one of the contagions in the Bitcoin market right now, is that a lot of people have turned into government cucks. Like, if your financial thesis is waiting on the government to save you on any level, including the Clarity Act, you're effed, right? So part of my 2026 prediction is that whether we have interest rate cuts or hikes, the price will tank, right? Regardless of it. Clarity Act, price will tank. Because if you think about the seasonality of where we are, you know, and it gets more blurry and gray as the cycles move on, but we're in the crypto winter year. So what a lot of people always forget, including myself, that after April, you know, the cliche sell in May and walk away. Well, that's because we enter the summer bummer, right? So we have 2 months of price movement to look forward to, up or down. It's the humble opinion of this piano that we will see some volatility to up, 77K-ish, like I said before, and then volatility down, and then summer bummer. And there literally won't be anything happen but downside, right? And so we got to keep that in mind. There is the seasonality to the way the markets work, you know, and unfortunately, once we enter the summer bummer, nothing much happens.
Yeah. And now, we need to shift because I really want to be clear. Like, we covered Bitcoin on the morning. We spent some good time on this talking about Bitcoin. This is just the general reminder for everyone, and myself included, that, I know if you're trying to just catch a clean knife and not know or expect that more volatility is ahead of you, like, I'm buying the Bitcoin fully aware that I can experience more negative on Bitcoin and just keep enjoying lower prices on Bitcoin. That's me. But we rarely see a V-shaped reversal that is clean. Most reversals are very choppy. You have very deep pullbacks, and then you have just a basic rounding structure that eventually comes, and then a break back to the upside. So we have to remember this. It's a great trader, Follis. Love him. He's hilarious on Twitter here. And we got CZ out here saying that he's poor again. The last time CZ came out and said he's poor again, we were at like 33. Yeah, he's not poor. He has billions of dollars. There's been a lot of talks about, Binance and what their books look like. So let's hop on over to Arc of Intelligence. They have more Tether than Bitcoin right now. They have more Tether than Bitcoin. Now, the Binance elephant in the room is a little sketchy to me. The largest exchange on the planet. Usually when you see issues where there's smoke, there's fire. I hope that things aren't on fire as well. I love this comment too. Is Drew crapping on our alts again? Like, I have the ability to move the markets. You know what? The people behind the curtains are the actual ones. I am publicly disclosing my moves and seeing things like this, where Binance is now sitting in more Tether than Bitcoin. Going to be a rocky time. I feel like it's going to be a rocky time. It's going to be something like even if this is 65K, we're going to have to fight our way out of this. And maybe that fake out to 77 happens. I'm a long-term Bitcoin holder and an active trader. So my goal is to make more Tether per day to buy more Bitcoin. And this is the situation we're in right now. So, and what's that?
When you think about Binance, I've been saying this since the ETFs. The new money that's coming in, the money that belongs in a small concentric circle of power and money, they aren't coming for some. They're coming for all. So when you see these moves on Binance and first CZ going to jail and all these things, it's the humble opinion of this piano that by 2028, these exchanges will be gone. Because do you think that these psychopathic, rent-seeking, reptilian parasites, boomers that are in the government that are going to go, you know what? Now that we're in Bitcoin, let's leave all these other decentralized exchanges, these on and off ramps where they're taking fees plus and minus on and off. Let's let them exist. No, their whole mandate in life is to secure and centralize power. So whether we like it or not, I think they're coming for the exchanges. So needless to say, if anyone has their Bitcoin on an exchange, we shouldn't even be having this conversation in 2026, but maybe we do. If anyone has their Bitcoin on an exchange, get it the F off.
Yeah.
Right. And if they go down, they go down. Now here's the downside. If they go down, where's retail going to buy it? From the banks.
Yeah.
This is what they want.
That's a good point. And there's been a lot of tug and pull with banks in this whole Clarity Act. They want DeFi to not be part of crypto regulation in the U.S. And they're currently arguing, Pocahontas and Scott Pecent arguing about this literally last night. Now, they're arguing about affordability crisis. And I think this inflation that's happening to the dollar, it's going to happen with either side of the political spectrum. Both sides have to print money to keep the system going. It's a system based off of debt, right? So there's other things that are happening that are causing this max pain. U.S. layoffs are skyrocketing. U.S.-based employers announced 108,000 jobs were cut in January. Highest January total since what? The 2009 Great Financial Crisis. This is up 205% from December and up 118% year over year. The surge led by transportation, with the UPS planning up to 30,000 job cuts, and tech, where Amazon is preparing 16,000 layoffs. Meanwhile, employees announced just 5,000 hiring plans in January, the lowest total for the month since Challenger began tracking hiring plans in 2009. So there's a couple different aspects that are causing the max pain feeling. And like Solana and Ethereum, XRP, they're kind of leading the charge in the pain on the charts today. We had McDonald's surpass Ethereum in total market cap today. Not a great sign, not a good thing to see. And this
hopefully they're hiring.
What's that?
Hopefully they're hiring.
Well, hope to God, right? But they're not going to be interested in us crypto bros to hire on right now. This is Crypto Stevo, one of my favorite people inside of my computer. Now, he put this out, and I loved this. Remember just a few months ago, favorite crypto bros were calling the super cycle, just like they did in late 2021 and 2022. It's never good to think about the good bullish times that always go on. Equally, it's not good to think about the bearish times that will continue to indefinitely go on. And saying that Bitcoin's going to go to zero. Usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. And thinking back to where I screwed up, I was targeting like 150,000 for Bitcoin to be the blow off top. And high end, like super bullish expectation was 200K. Instead, I got to, Bitcoin got to about $126,000. And when I was taking the altcoin profits, I felt like a fool because I felt I was doing it too early. I was taking the money off the table that was just going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I was taking the profits to actively fix my life. But the important part, and why I'm kind of explaining this, is I had a financial goal in mind. I need to hit this number, then I can do X, Y, and Z. And that helps me understand when the right time to pull the trigger and when to take some off the table is, right? So just going through this next year, we're going to have some chop. It's going to be crazy, but building a mindset of what's actually going to tangibly change the situation or better, or the new house. Like, it's also going to suck for me, Maddie, because I'm getting a new house, and I'm sure the next house is going to need a bunch of renovation or, new roof or whatever. Like when you buy a new house, there's always something.
Are you moving out of the like the woods?
No, well, I'm moving out of that house. I'm going to rent it out. I think keeping that house, I know that like house is like sketchy and everyone's saying it's going to dip down to zero, whatever, but I want to be like the boomers. Okay. The boomers were buying houses for 50, 80K. And back in the 80s, and now those same houses are going for $500,000, $600,000. It's not like there's more land being printed. It's not like there's more readily available labor. It's not like raw materials are getting cheaper. So my thesis is to hold, because it's a very low interest rate on the house, and I don't want to let go of that low interest rate because it's essentially a 30-year short on the dollar, if you really think about it from the long term. So, I'm moving into the next house just because I want to less travel from point A to B in the new office location here. But it's a season I'm going through right now, and it is what it is. That's partly why I made the move on the Sequoia ahead of time, right? But we'll inherit the boomers stuff. Maybe they'll default and the banks get it, right? Maybe the banks will get the boomers stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. Gotti agrees. Chat, should I, and I want to be, I want to get your guys' opinion. Should I sell that house? It's at a 3.25% interest rate. I've got a lot of equity built into it. I could absolutely sell it for a nice big bag of equity and then just slap it into the new house. Or I could keep it, sit on this 30-year short against the dollar and move into the next house. It's such a battle in my mind on what to do. It's a tough call to make. I would like your guys' opinion. Even if you hate my guts in the chat, just let me know what you think you would do. Now let's look at Solana.
At that interest rate, no one's shaking you off.
No, I mean, I'm unshakable at it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get forced out of it by any means, right? But God dang, I mean, it is enticing to think about going after the next one with that much equity and just slamming it, because I slammed the house that I'm in right now when I came in. So it's on my mind. This is Solana's chart.
What's the liquidity in the sell market?
Oh, it's absolutely a buyer's market. It is not a seller's market. Like, we are seeing the sellers are up against the road, and they're trying to act a little tough, right? They're trying to act like, no, we got the chips. The sellers absolutely do not have the chips. The buyers, anyone with enough cash to go in there and buy right now, absolutely has the advantage in this market. 100%. So I'm going to make them cover closing. I'm going to take some off the top. That's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to be doing. I was thinking about the landlord thing because this is a good comment. Being a landlord isn't easy, though. I found some good companies that actually handle that for me, and they're very gated on who they let come in and be the renter in that house. So I'm going to be using this company for sure, and they'll take a little bit out of the profits in general, but I'm going to be using a company for that. Now, check this out. This is Solana's chart. I was looking at this morning. One of the larger altcoins out there, the RSI, Maddie, is where it was at when it was $8 right now. And you mentioned Solana, inflows up the yin yang, things are going great. But the RSI is at a level that it hasn't been at since $8. Now, I know you're a fan of fibs, but also you don't like charting out altcoins, right? So
Well,
I
it's
kind of
just
had this planned out to show you, to get your
Okay.
opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like, this is the fib from low to high.
Mhm.
And the peak is kind of artificial because this peak was the Trump meme coin day. You remember that, where the Trump meme
Yeah.
coin came out and ran out? It's a project that's been around for about 2 cycles. So we have some old data. This bad boy's coming to the 786 though. Maddie, first impressions on this fib overlay for Solana. What do you think about it?
Well, the crazy part about Solana, and I think the bottom was $8. I'm calling for a $30 Solana.
Okay.
So I don't know where that is on the fibs, but
Right about
Just-
it's in the middle of the 1 to 786, kind of like the guts of this pump 2 moment right here. So you're thinking $30 right
And guess
about
what?
here.
when it's at 30, no one but the smart money is going to touch it, because the lower it gets, the more people hate it,
Hmm.
right? But that's your opportunity. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. If you're into altcoins and Solana, $30 altcoin, I don't know, you should be celebrating. You should be dancing in the streets. Just like if Bitcoin goes to 30K, you should be dancing in the streets.
Yeah. And that's a mistake I made on Solana when it was $8. Like, I couldn't say, yeah, it's going to 0, because I knew that degens were never going to let go of their NFTs, which basically the same crowd morphed into memes in Solana. And I knew that there was like this psychotic group of people and smart money that were stacking Solana at $8. So I couldn't come out and say, oh, it's going to 0, because I knew that it still had that kind of base layer of use and interest. But it is an altcoin, and we're seeing a heavy de-risking in the markets right now. So I'm having to analyze these levels. And initially, I was feeling like $80 would be the zone, but we've hit it too quick, man. Like, I was looking for $80 literally yesterday, and while I was on stream with Crypto Crank, this thing was, it was dropping down into like the 90s, the mid 90s. I was like, okay, this is happening too quick. This pullback over the last few weeks, literally just from that fake out pump on Bitcoin, Solana has dropped by 45%.
Okay, so what's another 45% from here?
Let's check it out. This is so crazy to look at, dude, how quickly things can move. And things can move quickly to the downside and upside in crypto. We have to keep that in mind. But around a 45% from here brings you to about $43 a token. Right? It brings you actually to this local peak here. So the only reason why I want to cover this one, particularly on a day like today, is something about Solana tells me that it's going to be one of the longer standing altcoins. And I screwed up last time. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and a bunch of Chainlink and a bunch of projects that did me well in this zone, but I didn't buy Solana until it was like, it was like $80, $90 here. I bought it. And then, I didn't take profits on my Trump meme coin until I bought Trump meme at like $5, woke up 2 days later, it was $77, and I was an idiot. I was like, no, it's going to $100. This is going to be the first meme coin to go to $100. I got so close, but the thing pulled back. I had to get out of the way and just accept defeat at $20. It's still a 4x or whatever,
Right.
but I didn't hit the $100 meme coin dancing moment, right? I screwed up. I didn't take the ultimate profits that I could have. And I got out of the way of the larger altcoin market at $135 on Solana, right? So, I didn't make all the money in the world, but I also didn't lose money. And I got out of the way of this pullback. So now I'm kind of analyzing this and trying to figure out where the zone to back up the truck. And I do feel like Solana is one of the ones that's going to have my interest when we are starting to snoop around the bottom and see some of the bottoming indicators. Oh my God.
Think about this for time. I know $30 seems crazy for some reason for people to hear. We're at 80, and October and November, arguably the reset of the market, that's like in 6 or 7 months. So to go from 80 to 30 is no crazier than coming from 130 to 80.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, this thing has extreme volatility from even just like 250 some odd dollars. We're down 54%, then a fake out pump. Now you're down another 45%. This is a crazy comment. I hope this is true. My $1.80 XRP short just made me a millionaire. Absolutely savage. Absolutely savage. Okay, that is absolutely crazy. Another altcoin that I want to check out, actually, let's go to the general market, because I do want to see where the biggest pain is, to see if here's the one, Zcash. So Monero is now more expensive than Zcash. Zcash was just at like $700 or $800, and I was like almost damn near getting shamed for not top blasting this thing. I'm sure your crowd kind of came at you with the same kind of mindset. Zcash been around for a while, violent move to the upside, and then now it's got problems with, the people that founded it. There's a little bit of infighting going on. When you see a chart like this, Maddie, is this basically just an escape pump, an artificial escape pump made before the greater reckoning of altcoins? Like, what is your initial take on Zcash?
And it'll happen again. Like, don't get me wrong, these things will go up again, but they don't go up because of natural functioning economics. They all go up because of insiders and founders. They're like, it's time to pump and get out. And they pump and they get out, and they'll do it as long as they can. It's almost like they are asking the market, how complicit do you want to be in our exit liquidity? And the market says 100% we're compliant. And they'll just do it, and people won't come in and they'll sell at the top again.
Oh my God. Okay. And something about privacy coins in my mind is telling me the more governments move to take away our privacy, the more people are going to want privacy. So broadly speaking, for privacy coins as a sector, Maddie, do you think that people are basically going to let privacy coins die and just accept to be bludgeoned by their governments and all their privacy taken away at this point? Or is there still some niche upside to privacy coins, in your opinion?
I think there is niche upside, and there always will be, as long as we're, as long as we have a boot to our neck or a knee to the neck from the government. People are going to be looking for escape hatches, and I think privacy coins are one of them. However, it's a bumpy road. I mean, it's not like it's a clean highway, right? Everyone's gonna be coming at you, and I think it may be like a scarlet letter old maid if you're holding them. If we see, if the authoritarian governments get their way, I think just holding it would be like grounds for leaving the country before they find you. It'll get weird because they're just not going to let it happen, right? You're going to have to power through the obstacle.
Absolutely. Well,
I think you should.
Where can people find you? Where are you most commonly posting your charts, or kind of like your chart thoughts? Is it YouTube or X or?
Yeah, YouTube. Well, it comes on X too, but I go live on YouTube 8 a.m. We talk about the charts and anything, especially when the market's not moving. We talk about anything. It's a good time to have a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Are we on for Friday? I'm going to try to make the Friday show. Are you down for Friday?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we got to. Like, the crazier the markets get, the more excited I get to cover the market, right? So
me too. Everyone should be excited. Everyone should have a smile on their face, and they should be looking forward to their bright future, because this is where all the money's made, not at the top.
Absolutely, man. Wise words. Make sure to follow Piano Matty B, one of the most based individuals in crypto that I've followed for years. And especially when we're heading into a bear market, there's nothing more soothing than a piano and some price levels to listen to first thing in the morning. So make sure to give him a follow. We're going to go hop on over and say hello to Mr. Frankie Candles now. Stay based, folks. The bottoms are where millionaires are made. This is where the wealth is made. So stay focused, and we will see you on the next episode.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.